we're jumping ahead because the Judgment Day was in the ring without Rhea Ripley. And now we know, well, you don't know because you're an oddball, Brian, but everybody else knows what it's like to have a burger without cheese. You lose
Delicious
one ingredient
and worth it.
Spoil the whole dish.
Delicious and proper.
No Rhea Ripley in the Judgment Day is like a burger without cheese. That's what makes it. It's what makes it what it is. And the best part of this was the people booing over Dominic. And it's become a thing. But they're out there putting themselves over, and here comes suddenly the Brawling Brutes music. And even then we got the discount Brawling Brutes because it was only Butch and Ridge, not even Seamus. And they were talking, and then they started fighting. And I kind of zoned out because they got into the match. And do they ever book matches for these programs, or do they just have people come out and talk until somebody comes out and interrupts them and wants to fight?
Yeah, that's kind of it. And again, with the Judgment Day, the Judgment Day and their promo, they were teasing stuff with the Bloodline. They were talking about the Bloodline, how they are more successful than the Bloodline.
Yeah.
And I thought Priest was clearly featured as the top guy here. And maybe that's the one benefit of Rhea not being there one time. Priest gets to stand out a little bit more. And Dominic's great. Dominic's you want to talk about a heel that they do put heat on, Dominic is fucking great.
Yes. And because he's a slimy little weasel and wise ass in his own way, and people love to boo, and he can get beat all day long, and it just puts more heat on him because he's supposed to be a fucking invalid, impotent fucking prick.
You were like that too, right? You wouldn't lose your heat even when things that traditionally would cost you all your heat happened to you.
Yes. Well, they could always like rip my clothes off. They could put me in a cage. They could hang me over the ring. They could embarrass me. They could run my face in a cake. Watts started it. Dusty kept up with it. They never hurt me except when I hurt myself. When I blew my knee from the scaffold, they talked about that. But I was never injured by anybody. I was never bloodied by anybody until I switched babyface. Because they felt like if I'm a big-mouthed, wise-ass, chicken shit, coward, weasel, mama's boy, whatever, humiliate him, embarrass him, you can beat him up and body slam him, but if he's laying there in a pool of blood or he goes to the fucking hospital because we broke his leg, that's gone too far. Then we're making him tough because he comes back. So if you notice, I was always beaten up or beaten in wrestling matches. I was never injured in a planned angle by a baby face.
And even the scaffold, you were off.
The scaffold was the odd duck in that equation because it was true, and we couldn't kayfabe it. And then the only other time I hurt myself I booked myself to be hurt was by Bullet Bob as revenge for me doing it to him first. And they had to pay to see it. So that was the thing. A heel like that, you can always humiliate him. You can beat him. You can do different things like that, but don't just kill him. Don't hospitalize him. That's when you take heat off of him, because then they start getting a little sympathy, maybe. Anyway, so the point is, in this program that apparently just is allowed to unfold depending on the whims of the wrestlers that are participating, instead of having any structure to what's going on, they made that match, and Priest and Finn fought I wrote Butch and Luke, God damn it, Butch and Ridge, and the Judgment Day won. And then here came Lashley and the Private Profits, and boy, they dress nice. And they got in the ring, and they had a 3-on-3 face-off with the Judgment Day and the Lashley and the Profits. And Lashley said, the bloodline is crumbling, but Judgment Day's not going to take over. We will. And that was that. So now here's the thing. If they're doing the thing where Finn and Priest were having problems and JD McDonough's going to come in between them, that's fine. If apparently maybe they want to break Priest out and make him a single after this or whatever. But then why would they be starting not only a group to potentially compete with the Bloodline? If the Judgment Day is going to be competing with the Bloodline, they should not be doing an internal, oh, and we all don't get along angle, because that's what the Bloodline just did. But now we've got Lashley and the Prophets, and are they baby faces or heels? And they're wanting to take over. So is Shitstain doing this faction warfare again?
Or Tony Khan. This is very reminiscent when AEW, all of a sudden, everything was a trios feud. Everyone was in a faction and it was 3 people. We have, I guess, the Bloodline now would be Jimmy, Solo, and Roman.
Except Jimmy's not official, I don't think, right now.
Well, we'll see what happens. AJ has his 2 people, as we would later find out. And a girl.
Well, but there's trouble between them.
Well, we will see what happens. There's Lashley and the Street Profits. They've clearly distinguished themselves as men who like to hang out and wear nice clothes. There's the Judgment Day. Again, no teasing at all of any issues. You know, Finn and Damian were pretty cool in there, and everyone was having a good time getting booed. So they seem to be okay. Everything's like a 3-person. We're gonna get some kind of match. Just watch.
Well,
anyway, I will say though, I'm a little intrigued by where they're gonna go and what they're gonna do, if anything. I mean, they could blow it quickly with Lashley and the Street Profits.
I don't think that all booking should be simplistic and, the level of a child, but I also don't know that you need to do one of those fucking diagrams on a wall with strings and fucking push pins to be able to figure out who's mad at each other. Just a thought. But here's another thought. Did you know that the start of the Judgment Day promo until the end of the 3-on-3 face-off after the match, where it was basically Judgment Day and Brutes and these guys, 26 minutes of the show. They got their time to go out and get their exposure. But by that point, Brian, I got to be honest with you, unless you really have a problem sleeping, you were pretty tired at this point from watching SmackDown.
Oh, yeah.
Now, there are people with insomnia that could have made it through this whole thing without zoning out. But most people would be asleep by now. So we've identified the bar, the level there. If you made it through this segment of SmackDown or these segments of SmackDown and you weren't sleepy by the time you finished watching it, you may need our friends at CB Distillery.
That's right.
How right is it?
It's so right that
it can't be wrong.
That it can't be wrong.
Because I'll tell you what, that's what all the customers are saying over at cbdistillery.com. They're saying, if taking your products are right, I don't want to be wrong. Or are they saying, if taking your products are wrong, I don't want to be right? I'll tell you what is right. 90% of customers report better sleep with CBD. And 81% say that CBD helps calm them from stress and anxiety. 80% report less pain after exercise or physical activity, and 1% find that they can will themselves into another dimension. You can enjoy better focus and concentration with their full range of carefully formulated CBD and other plant-based solutions over there at cbdistillery.com. When you use the promo code JCE for this program, Jim Cornette Experience, JCE, see what they did there. And Brian, you can't go wrong with a product recommended by Mayo Clinic trained internist and preventive health specialist, Dr. Kevin Fry, Glenn Fry's older brother.
No relation to Glenn Fry whatsoever.
I heard that when Glenn made himself a hippie and went out to the Rainbow Room or wherever in goddamn on a Sunset Strip, that meanwhile Dr. Kevin was going to all the fine medical schools around the country, learning to help people get involved in CBD. One had a peaceful, easy feeling, and the other one wanted to give you a peaceful, easy feeling. You know, there are over 2 million satisfied customers of CBDistillery.com. Were you aware of that, Brian?
Yes.
Did you know that their products are packed with whole body healing plant compounds and vital nutrients that you'll need to take with you to that other dimension that you'll be able to will yourself into after you get on this stuff real regular? And I'll tell you what.
I don't know about that, but there are parts of that, yes, and there are other parts.
You might not even notice it because everything else will look exactly the same, and all the people that you know here will be there. It's just the sky is either purple or green. Depends on the weather over there.
I don't think that's how it works. And I will say I did use some of CB Distillery's fine products on my knee recently as I've been recovering from my knee injury.
Yes, where you were taken down and mugged at gunpoint and suffered that severe injury.
I didn't go to Suffolk County. What are you talking about?
Actually, no, you fell down in your own home and you hurt yourself, and now you're expecting the people at CBDistillery.com to make you feel better. I think that's very selfish. There's a bunch of people out there that have injuries and problems sleeping and problems with stress and anxiety and concentration and focus that are not even their fault. And here you're just clumsy. And you're using up all the CBD. Well, they got more, folks. At CBDistillery.com. You fell down in your own home and you injured yourself.
My knee. It was my knee went out. I didn't do anything clumsy. I didn't trip on something. I'm not Dick Van Dyke.
Which knee was it? Your left knee, your right knee, or your wee knee? Folks, if you're frustrated with a health concern that's not getting better, try CBD from the source that I trust, you trust, and we all God's children trust them. And that's CBDistillery.com. And right now, we can get you on the right path down the straight and narrow, taking the express highway to good health with a 20% discount. Just visit CBDistillery.com and enter the code I told you before, JCE, 20% discount, no prescription required. So you don't even have to forge stuff for this place. They'll just hand it to you and you can walk out the door. Figuratively, literally, virtually. There is no door on the website. But there is a portal that you can enter into the other dimension at CBDistillery.com.
Nope, no portal.
Promo code JCE, 20% off. There is a discount.
There's a discount.
Just no portal.
No portal.
Discount.
Just a discount.
CBDistillery.com, promo code JCE.